Don't knock other people's hustle. How other people make money online has nothing to do with you. It's none of your business. And then another thing is, like, I don't know why I need to say this and why in 2021 this still needs to be said out loud. Booby streamers are not stealing your views, all right? Booby streamers are not stealing your views. Those views that go to her or go to them because they're a booby streamer, they never would have watched you in the first place.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
First Marbles update in over a whole season. We're back at it with more educational videos to help you on your streaming and Marbles journey. So I wanted today, from what most of you have been hearing, I wanted to talk to you guys today about something called brand risk. And it's especially poignant nowadays because, as some of you, she's freaking out because she thought it was about her. So, as you know, I'm sure you're aware of, a certain hot tub streamer really enjoys playing marbles while she's doing her hot tub streams, and I hear sometimes people in our community maybe say a few things here or there about it. Not necessarily always bad, but you know, there are sometimes complaints too about it. I just wanted to address some of the issues around what it means to be like a brand risk, why what she does is so controversial, what other things, even though what she and other streamers are doing might not affect you directly, maybe there are ways that it does affect us as a whole platform, and also some other things outside of what it is that they're doing that's controversial that you should potentially be keeping an eye out. Things that I believe are even a bigger deal than what we're making. Obviously, that's a big deal now. The whole hot tub meta and all those things is a big deal because it's at the forefront. It's very visible, people talking about it. But there's a lot of other things that are along the way, that are coming along the way, that you should actually be aware of, and that is actually more poignant and more important to you than any of what's going on right now. What does it mean when like Twitch or other platforms talk about a streamer or a content creator and say, well, that person's a brand risk? It means that their content is so controversial, so inappropriate, or so illegal that sponsors, studios, and other companies aren't willing to work with you. You've like lowered the value of your brand to the point where people don't want to work with you, and outside people don't want to pay money to work with you. As a streamer and as a content creator, your goal isn't so much to like make money off of your subs and viewers. Like, that's nice. I think you guys as like streamers all agree that like it's great to have support from your community, but like your goal isn't to like make money off of your viewers. Your ultimate goal is to grow to a point where like people from the outside, like a sponsor or an advertiser, wants to give you money to advertise something for your like, that's where the real money is. In case you didn't know, like most of us can't make a living off of just subs and donations and stuff like that. It's incredibly difficult. Like the real end goal is to get like a legit solid sponsor, whether that's a gaming studio, whether that's like an advertising like agency or a team or some other outside source outside of your viewers directly that you're making money off of. Because like making money off of viewers is only so steady, and it's not as often, and it's certainly not as much as you could be making when you're sponsored by a legitimate large company like a studio or some other type form of advertisement, right? So like the idea is you don't want to take your personal brand and your stream and your content to the point where like even people outside won't even want to work with you anymore. It's one thing if it's like you're getting views, but it's like to the point where no one wants to work with you anymore because you're just so toxic or whatever. Or they just want to avoid what it is you're doing. For us as like content creators and streamers, what our online brand is our online persona, right? Like what you do in the realm of the online sphere, and even in real life, if that bleeds over, you know, most of us are pretty good about not bleeding over our real life to our online life, but more so your online life nowadays as a streamer is your brand. What you put out on Twitch and other platforms, that's all these outside companies and all these outside brands that want to work with you are able to look at. Usually they'll do like a preliminary before they want to, you know, partner with you. They'll do like a little glimpse of your social media background, see what it is that you've ever posted, things. If you're doing things on your platforms outside of not just Twitch, but you know, anywhere else that is like too controversial or you know, completely out of left field as something that might raise a red flag for them, they could easily choose not to work with you. And especially nowadays, considering like cancel culture and all that, what you do online, even outside of Twitch, has become even that much more of a minefield, right? And that's a bad thing, and that could be a good thing. Good thing is because it's a great way for social change and things like that kind of movement. But it's a bad thing because like the smallest misstep can ruin years of your work. And you're thinking, well, like, I don't really have any missteps. Like, everyone has missteps, believe me. Like, I've had missteps, all right? All right, everyone goes through missteps, and you don't know what the smallest little thing you've done in the past online can somehow come back and haunt you in the future. So it's like, you should always be very careful. Now, this is like, you're like, well, GJC, you're like infringing upon my First Amendment right to like say whatever it is I want on my social media platform. I'm not telling you can't do or say things on your own platforms. What I'm trying to tell you is everything you do is being watched, recorded, and you know, and viewed by other people. So like, that's why you need to be careful. Now, if you say I still want to be able to participate in that platform, but still put out my controversial ideas, whether that's crazy politics or conspiracy theories or other things that you want to talk about that might be controversial for a brand, I recommend you create a second account for that. And you don't even have to advertise as you, or you could just say, this is, you know, GJC's personal account. All the like views are my own personal ones. It has nothing to do with the work that I do outside of it. Like, this is just for me personally. Right? And a lot of content creators have started doing that. And that's not a bad idea. That allows you to participate in whatever it is you want to talk about, you know, and kind of separate work from your work, you know, online persona from your personal stuff. You know, I think there's a lot of benefits. On top of this, as kind of like a side note, when you think of things that are inappropriate, illegal, controversial, and potential brand risk things, one of the things you don't think about is the idea of like a child-friendly content creator. And this is something that I didn't originally think about adding to this, but I had to add it because while I was away, I spent a lot of time with my nephew and niece, and they are glued to a screen. Like, I mean, I dare say every mealtime they're glued to a screen. Even when they're not having a meal, they'll watch a screen. Sometimes if it's a long car ride, they're watching a screen. Do not underestimate the market of a child-friendly content creator has open to them. You are literally cutting off a gigantic section of like the viewing audience on like YouTube, especially YouTube and like other platforms besides Twitch, if you decide that not to make your stream PG friendly. I am not a PG friendly content creator. I've set that out to be like that. Maybe one day I'll change, but for the time being, I'm not. But by being a PG friendly content creator, you open so many doors and avenues of audience and people that you don't know. Literally, my niece, all she does is she watches those short little TikTok style videos on my sister's like phone or iPad. And they're like from YouTube, they're from TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And she's like, this is her. Like, she is going through them. Like, and this is for like 2 or 3 hours of eating a meal because it takes her forever to eat a meal. She will literally scroll through tons of things on YouTube and just fly through videos all the time. And like, there's the sidebar that suggests videos and she'll look at that, go from one video to another. And this is like 2 or 3 hours every single meal. You're like, then what good is like a child's like, at that point when you're doing stuff on YouTube or whatever and growth, you don't have the right to be necessarily like above it and be like, I don't care if kids watch me or not. Like, when you have that attitude, you're greatly just underestimating the possible potential of the market. You're just essentially cutting off a whole section of a market right there. I kind of think that like being more child friendly and PG is like the safer side, right? You might not work with child brands per se, but at least that's one thing on the list of potential red flags that a outside brand or sponsor might be looking for. Like, does this person swear on stream? For them, they, you know, as grown-ass people, they probably swear too, but they don't care. But for their company and for their brand, they just don't want to be associated with any non-PG content, which is totally fine. Like, every brand has a choice to do that. So like, that's just another thing to keep in mind, right? It doesn't even have to be something like, oh, they're showing too much skin or doing something illegal or there's something too controversial or they're talking about things that are not, you know, like politically correct. It could be something as simple as like, this guy swears way too much on stream. Like, we can't sponsor him. Like, you know, like, it could be just like that. He's a toxic player, like when he's on stream and he talks way too much crap to other people on comms. That's enough. Like, you know, non-PG friendly. That's enough. I think we could establish kind of like what it means to be a brand risk and all the different kind of boundaries of it. But it's very general in many ways, right? It's a very subjective per each company and each brand that is trying to maybe potentially sponsor somebody, right? From their perspective, they may see certain things that are red flags that maybe another company doesn't care about. So then we talk about how does that affect you? All right, you as a streamer, you're like, well, DJC, I don't do any of that. I am PG, like nothing that I see potentially that I put out is gonna set off any red flags. Like, how is that gonna like affect me? We know from like the past, especially recently, Twitch will like is pretty like inconsistent when it comes to like how it hands out things like suspension and ban and stuff like that. There just seems to be like there's guidelines, but like a lot of gray area in between those guidelines, right? So like they've shown recently that they will seriously suspend you or ban you with really like no warning out of the back. As soon as that you do something that they deem violates their TOS, they'll ban you. Like just because like they have so many cases they got to deal with, they just rather ban you or suspend you and like dish that out and like let you sit on it, right? And let's say you get a ban and it's not a suspension. Look how long it took Deathluck to get his suspension appealed, and it wasn't even his fault. It was like a mistake on Twitch's fault, and they didn't even really apologize. They just said, "Oh, like we apologize for the inconvenience." It wasn't even. It was like a cut and paste apology, but it was like a mistake on their part, right? That they accidentally banned him. Even when there's like accidental bans, it could take you months to come back. And like, that's just all this time that's lost, right? And all this like revenue and growth that you've lost, right? It's like, it feels like it's starting over. It's so not fair, right? And like anything could trigger a ban, like, especially things that we're going to talk about, all right? Yeah, and ban appeals takes forever. So you're like, why does it still matter? You're like, I still don't see, I'm not scared because I'm not going to get banned. I don't do anything too controversial. And this is where it kind of ties into, I believe, like marbles, right? And how it affects our meta is, like I said, brought in from the beginning. Like, there's a certain streamer, we all know who she is. She's actually, lots of respect. She's been playing marbles. So how does that affect us as the rest of like the marbles community? Okay, so a few months ago, right? I think it was like at the beginning of season 23, like a month or so ago, Pixel had talked about the idea of events like Marble Fest, and things like that, the sponsored events that the community has through the studio, that like they're starting to gain traction, like especially Marble Fest, which is like the big event after 2 months. It's every 2 months we have it's a monthly event that we have. And Marble Fest and events like throughout the marbles community have been starting to get way more people seeing it, because they become so big and so elaborate, and like we're just doing such a great job as a community. But one of the issues that he brought up is that like as of now, from where he's standing, I think he's like semi-strict as to like where he cuts the line for brand risk. He's made it very clear, not now, but in the future, like we have to start considering that like outside sponsors will potentially look to our event to want to invest in it and sponsor events through the company. But they can't work with people who might be potential red flags to an outside investor who wants to sponsor an event, right? If you're a brand risk, it could mean a missing chance to work with the studio on a sponsored event, whether that's being invited to do Marble Fest or something smaller. That's just business. Do you know what I'm saying? That's like, I don't think that's like, that should be something that you as a streamer understands. That's like any business, right? They don't want to work with people who they think are brand risks. So if you're a brand risk, there could be a chance that you lose out on opportunities in the future. And they've already done things like that, right? It's not outside sponsors, right, necessarily, but they've already shown that like people who are, toxic or bad for the community or brand risks for the game, like they've gone out of their way to remove people's skins. It's not a secret. They removed streamer skins from the game. And there's very little recourse you as a streamer can do because you're like somewhat contractually locked into that whole deal. It's a unilateral move on their part. They're like, well, you're causing too much trouble and you're a brand risk for the game, so we're just going to remove you from the game. Keep in mind, like I think it's been said before a lot recently, especially now that we have a Marble Fest coming on, there's a lot of streamers who've been out here trying to get involved in events with the studio and things like that, and there's tons of opinions on that issue going around. But I think the main underlining goal that you need, not goal, but like philosophy that you got to understand is like The studio is looking to work with people who are like serious about their content and serious about their stream, like who take what they're doing with their stream seriously. If you are of like have a laissez-faire attitude of like, okay, I don't really care what happens on my stream, like if I get DMCA'd or if I get like, you know, suspended and I do all sorts of crazy things that make me look like wild, and like, yeah, they might get the views for here and there, but it's like, if you show that you don't have any care or interest in your own stream and like wanting to grow and any form of like commitment to it, then they don't want to work with you. Like, they want to work with people who are serious about it and like treat it as a career and treat it as another job and treat it as something that they really want to grow. But if you don't treat it that way and you're like, well, I don't care like about this and that, then like it shows that you have no interest in taking what they're doing seriously either, because you don't take yourself seriously. Right? And that's not a blanket. That's not like, oh, I'm telling every single person who's rejected that they don't take themselves seriously. But that's a stepping stone, and that's an overall philosophy that they have. Right? Take your content seriously. That means things like following the rules and like not trying to be too crazy about controversial things that you may say on social media and platforms and stuff like that. Because it doesn't look good, because sometimes they just don't want to be associated with that kind of drama. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're business like any other. So keep that in mind. This then brings us, of course, to hot tub meta. And I think it was Uberjump who said it first, right? Is that my personal philosophy is like, I don't knock other people's hustle. Don't knock other people's hustle. How other people make money online has nothing to do with you. If they're not hurting other people, they're not hurting you, and they're not hurting themselves, then it's like really none of your business. Now, there is a small caveat to that, and I'll talk about that, right? But in general, that's the idea. It's none of your business. And then another thing is, like, I don't know why I need to say this and why in 2021 this still needs to be said out loud. Booby streamers are not stealing your views, all right? Booby streamers are not stealing your views. Those views that go to her or go to them because they're a booby streamer, they never would have watched you in the first place. So don't, like, the reason they're going to go see that, and if that boobies are the reason, then like they weren't ever going to go to you anyways. So like, why are you upset about losing out on views that you were never going to get? Yeah, mind your own business. Like you're way too concerned about what other people are doing than what you're doing. All right, like all this look of like, you know, it's like you're putting so much effort in something that is almost like a whole entire like system and like an establishment and an institution. Like you're trying to break down this giant institution of what's going on Twitch by picking at it with a tiny toothpick. It's not worth your effort to be upset about. Right, all that effort that you're upset about those people, you could concentrate on growing your own stuff. Put that out of your mind. And to say that like, oh, well, they're using like sex to sell and things like that, like if you have a problem with that, then you have a very naive way of looking at like advertising and marketing. It's something that's been used since the dawn of time. So I'm not gonna like argue with you as to like the morality, what's right or wrong. That's like just the reality of how things are in the open market and in advertising. So like to be like saying that they're using sex to sell their product is like, that's just being naive. You don't then like there's tons of other larger people and companies than you should be worried about outside of these one or two hot tub streamers. And what you don't understand is like the hustle that I respect is not necessarily the fact that they have the ability to get in a bikini and then into a kiddie pool or into a hot tub and then like that's not the hustle. And like the fact that people will pay her money and stuff, like that's not the hustle. The hustle is you don't understand the ingenious marketing like machine and scheme that is like working behind the scenes of like all that. All that is just like the hook. So I'll explain to you the way like social media and like the master like blueprint that most of us who create content, how we like kind of engineer our social media platforms and stuff like that. All right, so the idea is you have like an initial like one-stop headquarter for your online presence. For most Twitch streamers, that's Twitch. Now, in order for you to drive in traffic to your main hub online and your main money-making machine online, which is Twitch for most of us, you create funnels of avenue on other social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, YouTube. All these other like BitClout, all these other platforms and social media platforms are funneling viewers to your main hub of content where like they can like work, like interact with you directly. Okay, because that's where you're making the most money at that point, is on Twitch supposedly. Now that formula doesn't just work for Twitch. That formula works for all different types of platforms. So if your main hub is YouTube, your main hub is somewhere else, you could still use that same blueprint, right? Now, these hot tub streamers, like, they're doing just that, but their hub just isn't Twitch, right? Twitch is like their funnel. Like, they're using that to funnel to like their main source of revenue, which is whatever paid content they're trying to get you to subscribe to outside of Twitch. Whether that's their OnlyFans page, whether that's So Close, whether that's Patreon, whatever it is, they're just trying to funnel you into where they can make the most money off of you, right? In that sense. That is the brilliant marketing like mechanism behind all that. Yeah, their podcast, whatever it is, Discord, all that. That's what's brilliant about it, is that it's actually a very like sound, like marketing, money-making machine behind all that flash. I have a lot of respect for it because it's like a very well-run machine, and like, it's, excuse my pun, it's perfectly well-oiled. You know, it's like it runs beautifully, and they're making money off of it. And like, you can't like not respect the hustle behind that, because it must have taken a long time to like set up that apparatus and like work through it. And like, that's the work that you don't see behind like standing in a bikini. Now this comes back to like what I said like right before this, which is like, what is your one leg to stand on as far as like complaining about people who are you know, in the hot tub meta and using it and stuff like that, is like, you realize they're working within the guidelines of like TOS, right? Like, when they don't, like, they are very easily like banned or suspended, right? They're like watched so carefully now by Twitch that they're only doing what it is that Twitch allows them to do. Sure, are they pushing the limit? Absolutely. But like, well, they're not able to do what they're able to do if it wasn't for the fact that Twitch allows them to do it. So you can't like be upset at them for trying to do that. But the one leg of complaint that you might have is that like outside advertisers may eventually see Twitch as nothing more than like hot tub meta or like that kind of thing. So like potential advertisers might not want to work with Twitch just because they don't want to deal with that. Twitch is incredibly vulnerable to that issue because it doesn't have targeting advertising. Advertising is dictated more so by the region you're in the world, and also the language that you set your Twitch to, because they're not going to send you like a Spanish commercial if you don't speak Spanish, or if you're not in like a Spanish speaking region, right? So language and the region you live in dictates your advertising more than like who it is you're watching, what game it is you're watching, who you're subscribed to, who it is you're following, things like that. These are all algorithms and things that like filters that like YouTube has, which has the best target advertising in the business, right? But Twitch has none of that. Twitch is, it's region, and it's by the language mostly. That's how they target you. They can't, and so like everyone pretty much gets the same advertising on Twitch. It doesn't matter what games you play or any of that. There's none of that like smart technology behind it. So the idea is, because it's such a blanket scheme of advertising, like a potential brand might be like, well, I don't want my commercial to come on in the middle of a hot tub stream. Twitch has already taken the step to like sequester them off. So they've sectioned hot tub streams, quote unquote, and beach streams and pool streams off into their own section. And I'm assuming now they're trying to get them their own source of advertising, you know, and that like a checkbox filter for it. But it's like that's a slow, like, you should have, like, they should invest on getting better targeting for advertising technology. Not just like, oh, this is the one trouble area and we're gonna like sequester it off. In the long run, they make more money on advertising and target advertising. It's more appealing to an outside advertiser, because then they know like the stuff that they're buying into is going to go to the right person, as opposed to just blanket website stuff. Like, it's just more profitable in the long run, I think, and it works, and it's more useful for them. It's a more valuable service they'll be able to provide. DJC's hot tub stream, no, right? So it's something I think Twitch should just invest in general. By sectioning them off as like a potential brand risk zone, it doesn't like solve the larger issue of like advertising problems. All right, it's a band-aid on like a gunshot wound. It's something else will come up later on down the road. Be certain of it. It might not be hot tubs, but be certain of it, right? And why I say this doesn't really affect most of us, and like this is the one leg you have to stand on, is because like most of us don't make enough money on advertising. 99% of us don't make enough money on advertising for it to even make like that big of a deal. So like, who is sponsoring and buying ad on the website like affects you very little at this point. Like, to break it down for you, for anyone who doesn't stream and doesn't understand advertising, you need to run, I think, 1 minute of ads for at least 500 viewers to make like $5. It's like less than a sub's worth, and you need like at least 500 viewers. Like, it's a very small, like, pennies for a viewer like ratio. You don't make that much money on advertising as it is. So that's why I say for most of us this doesn't really mean anything. And like the reason why I also say the sectioning off is like not necessarily a good idea, or like it's just a temporary gap stop measure, is because like you don't see people saying like, oh well, now like Pornhub has a safe for work section, like now we could start advertising on Pornhub, right? Like eventually the ship that is like Twitch and like the reputation that is Twitch is gonna tip over to the point where it gets labeled like, oh, that's just, brand risk central, right? Right now, that ship is like got a very good balance. There's not really that much of a problem. If anything, I think Twitch is pretty healthy in that sense. But like eventually, it could tip the scales, right? And get closer to that, like, oh, this is like Pornhub reputation, right? So I understand like your concerns about the overall health of the platform too. And I'm not saying those are illegitimate concerns, right? But as like kind of a final note on it is that there's a way for you to be like concerned about those overall health issues of the platform, whether that be advertising or general like feeling of the company and the platform, and also still be supportive and like kind, like more so to people who are doing things like that and working hard, like, because like I said, it's not easy to do what they do. If it was easy, everyone would do it. They worked hard to create that platform from themselves, and also that apparatus it is for them to make money online. Like, that doesn't happen just overnight, and doesn't happen without hard work. So like you could still be an ally to those type of people, and like friends with those type of people who are using like the hot tub meta and things like that, and who are on that hustle, and still be concerned about the overall health of Twitch as a platform. The two of them are not mutually exclusive, right? You can do both of them in respectful ways to support both of them. See, I respect the hustle. I don't mind the crowd. I don't like the crowd and the type of content it brings to the platform. That's a major issue with streamers that walk the TOS line. You're absolutely right, Darcy. But like Darcy, you're like respectful, right? You're not somebody like, it's okay for you to be concerned about the overall platform, but still also be respectful to those creators, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not like, they're like, just because you're worried about the platform doesn't mean that you have to go out of your way to hate on those people and spend like extra effort into like essentially what I was saying is picking away at like an institution. Because it's like, that's what it is. It's a monolith. It's a money-making machine. Like, it's incredibly difficult for you as an individual and small person to take that on when you could actually just be less worried about that and focus more about what it is you're doing. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like not worth it to you. Like, so, like, and don't get me wrong, they get punished for when they step out of line, and they have been punished. And a lot of times it seems very unfairly, even to me, that they've been punished. Right? Like, because it seems like it was out of nowhere and there were no warning, there was no discussion, it was very unilateral, and it's just like, here's your 3-day suspension, right? And that's like, as a content creator, that's gotta be frustrating, because like, here you thought you were like within the boundaries, and all of a sudden, just because of the way that people have been complaining, or just because of certain like attention that's being drawn to you, suddenly like what you've been doing for a while has become a brand risk, and they decide to suspend you. Like, there's no like, yeah, they get a slap on the wrist, which is a whole different discussion. Yes. So like, punishment is just inconsistent on Twitch in general, Darcy, and you're totally right about that. And that's why I think like everyone else needs to be aware of, even though you're not like in that realm, when you violate other things and do other things that are potential brand risks, Twitch has the ability to come out and punish you without any like warning or consultation with you. They don't need to discuss it. They'll just be like, you did something wrong against TOS, we're banning you. And like, we'll read your appeal in about 3 to 6 months, and let's see what you have to say. Yeah, so thank you, Pure Chaos, that you brought in DMCA. So DMCA, the other big thing that happened recently outside of hot tub meta, DMCA has been like plaguing this community for like the last year. And you all know, I already did a DMCA video on it. I'm the DMCA king of marbles. Everyone knows that. Like, my shit is like all over the place, DMCA violating, right? Like, and you know, I joke about that, but it's also something that I keep an eye out, and I'm very aware of like the potential risks that I have. And especially what I was talking about before with like the studio not willing to work with people, may not be willing to work with people in the future who are potential brand risks. By that, when that came up with Pixel, he wasn't talking about hot tub meta. He was talking about DMCA, actually. We were like sort of joking about it inside Raw Talk. It was like me and Spoo and a bunch of other people at Raw Talk. And I was joking about it, and I was like, oh, and Tiara was there, and I was like, Tiara's like, GJC, how many like copyright strikes do you have against me? And I said I had 0. And Tiara was like, what? Even I have one. I'm like, I gave her like the easy, like GJC, like gave him an easy and a hey finger guns, and wrote DMCA King, Marbles DMCA King. And like Spoo was like, GJC, like, you know, I worry about you like all the time, because like when we have these big events like Marble Fest, I threw up my usual shit that I do for the pizza tournament. It's like tons of DMCA images, it's DMCA like music, it's DMCA like introductions and transitions into new races and stuff like that. It's none of it is like technically owned by me, right? It's all from other sources that I pull from online. And that's when Pixel brought up the idea that like that's a brand risk. He says like, I understand for now, like a lot of you listen to music that's like DMCA and not copyright free, and like, you know, you're violating DMCA. Not now, but maybe in the future, if there's outside companies who want to sponsor us and look at our event as a potential sponsorship opportunity, we can't work with people who do that kind of thing. Now, does that mean like you must stop doing what it is you're doing right away? Maybe, maybe not. But it could also just mean that during the event, you shouldn't do anything that violates DMCA, and that they lay down stricter rules for events, which is like, I think they should do anyways. There's tons of rules that I feel like they should just like lay the groundwork for and be like, yo, listen up. If you're going to be in like Marble Fest, like you need to understand this. Like, this is what we expect, because a lot of it is, I feel like when people get in initially and get sponsored, there's not a lot of ground rules laid out. Like Pixel, when he like, and I work together, usually he's pretty clear about the ground rules and like what I can expect on his end and what he's willing to do for me, you know? And because we have a working relationship, he knows like the kind of the inner guidelines that I always walk in, you know, and I respect him for that. But I think people who've never worked with the studio before don't understand the expectations sometimes when they work with them for the first time. I feel like there needs to be like, listen up, this is like, these are the things that you, and like, please sign off on it. Like, at least like check mark something to say that you've read these rules and you understand what's expected of you at this event. And this only needs to be typed up one time. So like in the future, they just need to check mark it and do a digital signature, and we'll all be set, right? But I feel like that's missing out, kind of. I know that means work probably for somebody, probably Enders. I'm sorry, Enders. Give you more work. And this is not his fault in the sense, like, because I don't think he cares too much about that, and the studio cares too much about the DMCA, but this definitely is more of an issue for outside larger companies. I have like a Kung Fu Panda intro in my marbles race, right? And the Kung Fu Panda pictures, but like a Disney company who might want to sponsor a Marble Fest event was like, I can't have you putting DreamWorks stuff like in our event that I'm sponsoring. Like, there's so many copyright issues with that they would get in trouble for. So it's like, it's not even the studio, it's like outside people, right, in that scenario. Second thing outside of the hot tub meta that I really want to talk about, and it's becoming even more, and you guys can see where I'm leading you, it's becoming more important to understand, is like a lot of when all this blew up, and with the hot tub meta blew up, one of the first people, and always one of the first people who was on the issue with whenever something big happens on Twitch is like Devin Nash. He actually put out a video talking about like all those things that I kind of discussed previously. So like, shout out to him. As far as like brand risk, it's like very generally like the same stuff that we talked about. Incredibly educational. You should all watch him. But what he actually was more concerned about, and what I actually saw as a potential bigger risk than DMCA, when DMCA happened and when hot tub meta happened, was like, he said gambling actually is something that like we don't see right now as a problem on Twitch, but it could be one of the largest problems that is like, it's a sleeping giant, right? It's a sleeping giant. He didn't go into too much detail about it, and like that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to dive right into. All right, it's a sleeping giant. Gambling on Twitch is so incredibly prevalent. You have no idea. This goes anything from the wide range of poker to card games to casino games like slot machines, spin the wheel games, coin machine games. That's all considered like gambling topic, right? Now, it's not on like the radar right now because like nothing has been done legally right now to like go after it. Raffles, nothing has gone after it right now, right? But I want to tell you something about like online gambling. Something major happened about 10 years ago, all right? Like at the end of like the last decade, like not 2020, but like 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, gambling, like online gambling saw its head to like with the federal government, dude. A lot of online gambling sites are all shut down and now they're all incredibly like seriously regulated and watched after by the federal government, right? The DMCA stuff, the government doesn't go after you for DMCA unless somebody who's a copyright owner complains about it. But for gambling, the government has taken an active role to go after online gambling before. Now it's so closely watched. Fantasy football and all these other things that are even remotely similar to gambling are all extremely well regulated. Twitch already has even built-in things in the game, and this is just to show you that they're aware of this issue, but they haven't not done anything, but they're aware of this issue, but like the red flag and the warning sirens haven't gone off. Is like Twitch actually already has something that's built in, very similar to gambling, that almost everybody has access to now. It's called predictions. Who's ever done Twitch predictions before on a channel? If you didn't know, certain countries that's considered gambling, so it's blocked off in some countries. Turkey is like the one that I can think of off the top of my head. I know for a fact that you can't do predictions in Turkey because it's considered gambling. So like, because Twitch is a global, even though it's like incorporated in the United States, and I'm pretty sure in California is where it's incorporated, Netherlands as well. Yeah. Even though those are the country, like it's in the United States, it's in California, that's where it's like headquartered and incorporated. They need to follow all the local laws of every country around the globe that they like push their product onto, right? That they have a platform for, that people can reach. They have to follow all local gaming and like gambling laws. So like, that's why you can't do predictions in Turkey. Like, it's not a big deal right now, right? Because you're like, well, nothing has happened as far as gambling. Like, people are still gambling on stream all the time. But like, we've seen how the growth of this platform got to the point where it got the attention of music studios and record companies and stuff like that with DMCA. So it's only a matter of time before like, I feel like before the attention is turned on this platform and be like, whoa, there's people like making money and gambling on this platform. Like, maybe the federal government needs to take a closer look. And when that comes down, because it's the federal government and it's like, it's not just like DMCA, it's like it's not a company, but it's the government coming after the website, you better believe they're just gonna cut tail, dude. They're just gonna like, forget about getting sequestered in your own category. You already are in your own category with gambling usually. I'm talking like they're just gonna like suspend and ban left and right because it's easier on them to do that. Like, most of us as a streamer and as a content creator, you have to understand your own local gaming laws and gambling laws. So like, I don't think most of us take the time and due diligence to do so, right? We just like do what we do. And this also goes beyond, like, let's say it's not even like a federal government issue. Let's say it's just advertising. It's not illegal to watch something about gamble. You're right, it's not illegal, but it's illegal for that person if they're not following the proper laws of their locality to gamble online. Right? If it's illegal for them, or they're supposed to do something before they do that, like pay taxes out on it, and they're not doing it, that's all considered like illegal activity, right? So if you're doing something illegal on Twitch, like that's against TOS, and they have like cause to just ban you. TOS states that you have to follow all your like, you can't break the law in where you live. So if you break the law where you live, that's enough for them to ban you. Nothing the gambling streams are doing is illegal. Well, maybe not illegal, but are they following all the rules that they're supposed to be? It's like giving where they live. Are they like paying taxes? Are they doing all this? It's hard to say, right? Like, you could see how something of that sort could draw the attention of people from the outside, especially the government, to like want to look into it. It's not even like the government. Let's say you don't even want to worry about the government. Let's say you just want to worry about even outside sponsors. Again, they might not just want to deal with the hassle of having to navigate that minefield. Yeah, of course every streamer pays taxes. I pay taxes on the stuff I make on stream. You have to report that, dude. There's like a W-2 that needs to be filed, and like they like Twitch on their end reports their taxes, and you like if you make money on Twitch, you have to report it. Like you can't not pay taxes on it. If you make enough money and you cross that margin, you have to pay taxes on it. It's not strictly gambling, it's a potential B issue. That's just gambling in general. That's not stream, right? That's just gambling in general, right? But like the fact that you're doing it online and it's recorded makes like it very easy for them to come after you, is what I'm saying. But like I said, outside vendors and outside sponsors, they might not want to have to like bother with the headache of navigating through that. They're like, well, it's a gambling stream, or it's like a stream that has like that kind of thing on it. We just rather steer clear of that. That saves us money from having to like get lawyers to figure that out. And if we could be like potentially liable for sponsoring such an event, like we just rather work with somebody who doesn't have that like baggage, which is like perfectly fine if that's how like a company feels, right? So that's that's all I'm like kind of trying to point out, is that like it's a potential problem on Twitch that like we've pretty much overlooked. You're saying I just don't understand the issue with gambling streams. I guess in general what I'm saying is that like gambling streams don't always follow the rules, and for like the outside party, like because there's just potential that it doesn't follow like the proper laws, that it could just be something that either the government wants to cause trouble with, or people who want to do sponsorships don't want to have to deal with the hassle of navigating like the legal minefield that is gambling laws. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense? There's no record of doing any poker or slot streamer of doing anything illegal on stream. Like that's like, yeah, as of right now, they haven't done anything about it, right? But like, we don't know. Like I still see it as like a potentially like legitimate problem that like borderlines on like a matter of when the platform becomes big enough and when somebody sees it and the right person sees it, that they might go, well, that's like, there's a legal issue with that. I think the bigger issue is the channel rewards are linked with things that are monetary. Okay, and that's actually what I was going to get into. And like maybe Darcy, this will make more sense when I like point it out, because I feel like you're missing like the third picture of this, and like this is where I think it really matters with like marbles. All right, and this is like probably the thing that like this is the whole thesis, quote unquote, and the point that we're building up to is like, how does all this affect marbles, right? Hot tub streams, gambling, now marbles. How does it affect us? It's easy. Giveaways. So giveaways is like the biggest thing that like marbles. Okay, I'm gonna explain marbles. If you didn't know, for those of you who don't know, you don't realize that giveaways is like, that's how like marbles was initially made for. Like most of us like use it for giveaways. I use it for giveaways and things like that, right? But like, how many of you have ever heard the phrase like no purchase necessary, void where prohibited, must be 18 years or older to enter? Like, I'm pretty sure most of you have seen cereal commercials that say that, where there's like some kind of giveaway. Like, I think that's like the first instance that most of us remember hearing that kind of phrase. I think one of the things that we've overlooked as a community could be like giveaway laws, especially like on the local level. I know like I was very relaxed and I wasn't careful about it. And I eventually did the due diligence to look into it and see if I'm like following the law. But like, I dare say most of us don't take that time. It's important when you have like giveaways and things like that, you sort of divide it into 3 distinct categories. 2 of them are the ones that we need to focus on. I'll talk about the first one, and it's less to do with marbles, I think, is like the idea of like an online contest, which is like a game of skill. So like giveaways that might require you more than to just like hit a submit button or do something like passive like that, to like more than just sign up for an entry, right? We're talking like a game that might require skill, maybe like tilting or like playing like Hearthstone or things like that, like a real competition. It could also be something where it's like, we're gonna do a photo contest or like a media or art contest, and who like gonna let like the people vote on it and decide who the winner is, right? So like these usually there's a predetermined criteria as to how you could win this kind of contest, whether that's through skill, merit, or votes, like with the public or something like that, like a popularity vote on something that you put on social media. So that's like what a contest is. Second is a sweepstake. A sweepstake, all you got to do is enter and draw a winner randomly, right? The entrants don't have to do anything other than enter, and then the people running the contest got to draw the winner and give out the prize. That's what a sweepstake is. Finally, and that's like very important to marbles, finally there's a lottery. And this is where like we all fall into the trap, okay? This is like the vast majority of us are in this trap. or have fallen in this trap, which is like, what is like, this is the one that's most relevant to the people who play marbles, right? The difference between a sweepstake and a lottery is consideration. What is consideration? It means you got to do more than just type, enter your name to get your, put in an entry. It means that you're doing something more, whether that's like a follow, a subscription, channel points, anything more can be construed as consideration. Anything more than just entering could be construed as consideration. Not construed, but is viewed as more than consideration. And that's like one of the things that I think a lot of us kind of overlook is like, we've all done things where it's like, oh, like you need to be a follower to like enter this contest or giveaway that I'm doing. All right, that's considered consideration. The fine line between a lottery and a contest is that like a contest is judged. You're like, how's this different? Well, it's the random aspect of it, right? A contest is judged by either votes or rules or merit. This is not like a contest. This is a lottery because it's a random selection similar to a sweepstake, but requires consideration and requires you to pay or do something active to get into the contest. And the lotteries are what is like extremely dangerous and extremely like strictly like regulated, from state to like local to like federal to, to the federal level. And I think this is the concern for us, is that like we should take the due diligence when we run giveaways to like look up your local laws. Make sure you're not breaking your law on even the local level. Like, does your town have a rule about doing lotteries? A lot of times it's a threshold issue. Like, if it breaks a certain amount of money, then you don't have to worry. But like, at least take the time to find out if you're abiding by the laws. Because like I said earlier, if you're breaking the law on Twitch, that's all the reason they have and need to ban you without even talking to you or any consideration on your part. It's just, we'll talk to you in the ban appeal. And that's like not to scare us, because like I said, I feel like most of us don't meet the threshold of monetary value for our giveaways. We don't do like giant thousands of dollar giveaways, like most of us fall under that threshold. But it's different from state to state. And lottery laws are so incredibly stringent that like even local bingo halls have to like abide by that. Sometimes it's something as simple as just registering your contest. Like even if you don't break a certain monetary threshold, they might still require you to register your contest. Sometimes it's like you can't have any contest for consideration. Some local laws are like that. See, would literally letting anyone younger than 18 in an issue be a lottery? Yeah, anyone who like enters a marble contest, giveaway contest, who's under the age of 18, like technically that's breaking the law. I believe that breaks the law on a federal level. And I know like there's no way for us as streamers to be able to like check everyone's fucking ID before they come in, like they can just enter. So it's like, that's another issue, right? But I dare say in that scenario like that, that's probably something that happens like for any type of contest, not just marbles or online contests, right? People underage probably enter all the time. It's like, I don't know how much like blowback you as a contest runner will run. You probably can't pay that person out, obviously, but you have to see if it's like falls into the proper umbrella of your local laws and state laws and federal laws and the laws in your country, because every country, like we said, is different. So yeah, that is like the main, I guess, crux of we should all look out for in the future as marble streamers, is like obey the laws. Make sure you're following the local gaming laws that you have in your town, because you never know, you could be breaking the law and you don't even know it. And I know it's like kind of chilling and scary because you're thinking now back to all the times you've done a giveaway, but like now that you're like aware and educated on the issue, you can take the time to look it up. Unless a sub or paid or benefit restricted, giveaways with marbles are not lotteries. Sometimes there's follows only mode. Like it's very like, because we're not like the attorneys who are like prosecuting this kind of stuff and looking into this stuff, and when like I'm not like an attorney who's like super knowledgeable in like gaming laws and stuff like that. Like you have to see how they can like, it's like new, right? It's unapproached like issues that are on the forefront of like gambling and gaming laws, especially in the online aspect. You can see how quickly things like that can change. Things that are considered mechanisms, there's very like tiny little distinctions like that. So it like really depends upon your different locality and where you live as to how they would like view the situation that you're in. right? This is not even like a large like federal thing, because like most gaming laws go down to like the state level, right? So you don't know, you can't say for sure that every single town is going to view what you do online in the same lens. There's no like, it's uncharted territory for most of us. Yeah, exactly. It's better for you to be safe than sorry, because you don't know how one town can view consideration as opposed to another town, as opposed to another state, another county. Like, do your part, you know, do your consideration and take your time to like research your own stuff and find out. That's like really all like I'm just trying to warn people of. I'm not saying like, oh, stop doing giveaways and you're all breaking the law. It's like, no. It's like, this is something that you should be careful about, because why? It's a potential brand risk. And this is like always been like, this is, I guess, is the closing part of it, is like, am I safe? Like, the question is learn your local laws, see if you're, pay attention to what's going on, like make sure you aren't breaking any laws, make sure you're like underneath the threshold for monetary giveaways that you have. You know, take the time to do your due diligence and look up these things. The reason why, like I said, I'm worried about this kind of thing is because like it's shown in the past that like Twitch won't protect you for this kind of thing. Like, they didn't really do anything proactive with DMCA, right? They're very reactive. So it wasn't until they got in trouble that they started doing stuff about it. If gambling is ever going to be an issue on Twitch, like, I feel like you can't like lean on Twitch to protect you or support you on the issue. Like, they're going to do what's smart for them on a business perspective. And that's with all, you know, sponsors and advertisers and anybody who will want to be potentially working with you as a content creator. I just don't think that they're going to do anything until something big happens. And so, like, for now, like, I think we're all relatively safe because it's not an issue that they are really looking into. But in the future, I see as a potential problem. Like, and that's just not with gambling or giveaways. You know, that's just gaming laws like that in general. Like, my main, also, like, I guess my main overall concern is that, like, as much as I'd like to work with sponsors outside just the studio and hopefully sponsoring big events like Marble Fest and other studio events, is that because of the giveaway nature of prizes and stuff like that, that we're giving away during these events, that like companies might potentially just not want to run through the legal minefield of that either. Like, they just don't want to spend the legal hassle and hiring the lawyers to make sure that like we're doing everything on the up and up. Because like from the outside, it could look like a complicated mess, like legally speaking. I think like one thing I love aside from this is another thing. I hate giving like people at the studio homework, but another thing that I love for the studio is to let us know the monetary value of the prizes that are being given out at the event. They don't need to tell everyone, but like for our personal purposes, to make sure we're in proper legal standing locally and on the state level and federally, and making sure we like fall underneath the threshold, is maybe to let us know monetarily speaking, like in their opinion as a studio, how much money are they like giving us. Like, what are the prizes monetary equivalent to in their opinion? Like, what's the price point they set on that? Because then it like lets me know how, like, oh, my prize, like they said the prize I'm giving away doesn't cost more than $10. Then like I can like look up in my local laws and be like, oh, okay, $10 falls underneath the threshold. I don't need to register. I don't need to sign up. I don't need to pay taxes on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure most of us don't run into that issue, honestly. But it's also just like, be aware that like that could be an issue later on down the road, and just get yourself educated, right? It doesn't hurt you to like look up something for 5 minutes and just to like give you sound of mind, right? And understand your responsibilities and the way that the boundaries that you have and what you should do to protect yourself. Unless you're one of the top 1%, it's not Twitch's protect. Yeah, exactly. You're right. They will just, yeah, they rather not deal with the hassle, right? And they'll just cut ties with you and stop doing business with you. Yeah. Check in on yourself and invest time into yourself. Absolutely. And I think that's it. I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. I know it's a little bit of a sobering topic. I know we came in with like, you know, oh yeah, we're talking about hot tub meta, and now it's like, whoa, dude, check your local laws and statutes, make sure you're following the law. But I hope like it taught you guys something, and just to like be proactive, and maybe it gives you a little insight as to what it is when you're like a streamer putting content out, what it is the studio is looking for, what outside sponsors might be looking for, and who want to work with you. Let's do a quick marbles events of the day. Gambling all! There's no gambling here, Dr. Joe. I'm gonna be breaking the laws in my local county, okay? You try to get me in trouble, Larcy Joe, I see you. You can report me to the federal government. They're gonna break down this with the SWAT team any minute now. Here we go. Marble events of the week. Guys, make sure you follow my Marble events of the week guide on Steam. This is what it looks like. Oh, I put a lot of work into it. I update it regularly. It's just I didn't update it today. So we might see some events that are happening already. Happy Hour with Sportscast Squad every single Thursday. Make sure you're there at 4 p.m. Play for a chance to win the Evolving Sportscast Squad Marble. I think it evolves up to 4 times. Pretty badass. There's usually live music. In the past, it's been cold dabs, but I'm sure they will change it up sometimes. So every single Thursday, 4 o'clock with Sportscast Squad. Thursday nights, also in the Marble Music Room with studio artist Shibuya Gaming. Every single Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern. Join him for live music. You could redeem coins for arcade prizes. He has like channel points for that. The top racer on the local leaderboard at the end of the season will receive this cool t-shirt. And there's also some other prizes that he gives out every week. So make sure you check out Shibuya Gaming every single Thursday night. This is one of my favorite events, and I have a lot of fun there, is Team Liquid, who I've become a recent fanboy of, like a K-pop stan. Team Liquid gives away discounts and Team Liquid merch sometimes, like on Friday afternoons. Time's not always certain, and they call it like their tailgate event. Usually they have like another esport event that's coming before it, but that's coming after it. So like before the event starts, they'll play marbles and they'll do like discount giveaways. You know, they'll be like $10 off of your like next Team Liquid purchase, or like maybe sometimes you win a hoodie or a sweater or a jersey or something special from the merch store. They also, on top of that, is if you choose to forego your prizes, usually they donate money into a charity. So if you just want to hang out and have fun with the guys at Team Liquid and play some marbles, and you don't want to win any discounts, and you're not interested in buying anything from their store, you could actually just tell them to donate it to charity. They usually have some kind of charity they're raising money for. Guys, they are great. I love it. I've been hanging out there on Fridays sometimes. Also on Fridays, Z Carmella, Face Up Fridays from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. You get to pick Z's makeup that she puts on, eyebrows, cheeks, eyeliner, lips. Win prizes as well. There's cash prizes that you can win every Friday. It's a lot of fun. Usually it's 7 Grand Prix, 7 races. Begins at noon. Make sure you check her out. Did you tell them to throw the money at the Dota team too next year? Oh God, they might ban you for that, AG. You better be careful, okay? They'll be like, "What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say?" And of course, Fridays are also with Spoo Town, with community manager Spoo. Now there's 2 chances for you to win a layer of Spoo skin. You can, every single Grand Prix winner for the Spoo Bowl gets a layer of skin to their Spoo marble. It goes up to 16 layers. Dang! 16 layers of Spoo. That sounds like a Ben and Jerry's. If Spoo ever becomes big, like huge, and gets sponsored by to have a Ben and Jerry's flavor, they should call it the 16 layers of Spoo. Just hot ice cream, just all over, melted. I'd just be digging into that, you know, like. Anyways, 16 layers of Spoo skin that you could win every single week. Usually the Grand Prix will start at 4 and 8 p.m. So you get 7 races in each Grand Prix, 2 Grand Prix each week. Twitch drops coming to a marble stream near you. We did test out the Twitch drops last week. I think there were a few kinks. Hopefully we'll get some news soon, but be on the lookout. We tested it out last week with Spoo on Friday. So if all things are working, maybe we'll start doing it this Friday. There'll be Twitch drops, so keep an eye out for the announcement. I got me a Dev V8 Blue, which is right here, as you can see. And this is another advertising Marble Day, which is what the Twitch drop thing will be coming out soon. So if it might be this Friday. Keep an eye out on the announcements. But Marble Day, it will probably be a day where Twitch drops are activated, and you'll have a chance to get community coins to unlock the special chests for community skins and prizes. Ooh, this guy. Don't forget Pizza Fridays with this guy. On my channel, GJC327, from 7 to 10 p.m. on Friday nights, we have a little tournament Whoever wins gets to spin the pizza wheel. They get guaranteed to win pizza from Blue Mountain Audis on top of maybe some other prizes: popcorn, cheesecake, hot dogs, cookies. If you don't live in the United States, you're still welcome to play, as the pizza only sends or ships in the United States, but I'll usually just give you a cash payout if you don't live in the US. So you can buy yourself some food. Hopefully it's pizza, and then share it with us on Discord. And Cinematic Spheres. This is every single week with Almost Yeti. He does like a little Cinematic Sphere Marbles event where you get to see the master of cam work, Marbles cam work, Almost Yeti. Just do some really good, beautiful tracks, beautiful shots. It's a very visually stunning event, you know? So make sure you're there. You can win some community coins, 15 community coins, whoever wins it. Saturdays from 4 to 6 p.m. So you too can be part of the Marble Cinematic Universe. DML, Dutch Marble League. Not Dutch, German Marble League. Deutsch. German Marble League, not Dutch. German Marble League, run by my good friend D3Dex and our amazing group of German streamers. I believe the next race will be with Corey. Oh yeah, today's the 12th already, so they already happened. Corey's already happened, so the next one should be on the 14th with Nikita. And that one's at noon. So 1800 German time is, I believe, noon Eastern. But check your schedule, depending upon your time zone and what it is. But I think I kind of want to steal this idea for my league, because I might do something like this with a few streamers where we have several events throughout the season and then combine the points together for like a league win. So there could be individual events that have prizes and then one overall season-long prize for people to win. Track Builder Appreciation Day, hosted by Rossi TV. Rossi on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. will do community maps and explore all the many wonderful community track builders. Usually he kind of features one person. I think Ben the Boss Jackson was featured heavily last week, or the last few weeks. But if you have Marble streamers that you think are, or Marble track builders that you think are good, make sure you reach out to Rossi and let him know. He's available on Twitter. He posts this advertisement every single week. So like in the comment section on Twitter, like be like, yo, I really think that this guy GJC is a great track builder. Maybe you should feature him on your Track Builder Appreciation Day. It doesn't have to be me. Doesn't have to be me. Okay, I'm just saying. If you have an idea of someone who's a good track builder and you want to give them a shout out or give her a shout out or them a shout out, then let Rossi know. Track piece suggestions. Speaking of track building, Guru Beats every single Monday, 3 p.m. He does like a little dev stream of it, that he's working on track pieces that he wants to put in the track builder. He's sort of like the apprentice that they're building up to work with the studio. It's a lot of fun. He wants ideas. Go see him every single Monday, 3 p.m. It's like a real chance for you to give an idea, see it like come to life, and potentially even be in the game. So like, why wouldn't you want to do that? If you have any interest in track building, like make sure you go check out Guru Beats. All right, I love this little poster. This is so cool. I like the little springy thing. What does the springy thing do? Is it like boing you out of there? It's like, anyways. Now we come to perfection. Do you have what it takes to take on the most difficult challenge in marbles? Are you the perfect racer? Find out with the real Professor Beard's perfect challenge. Starting at reset, 200 races. You can't miss a single one. You gotta cycle. No DNFs. Starting on Monday at 10 a.m. You have a chance to win 30 pixel by pixel tournament coins. You got 3 DNFs? No! So do you have what it takes to be the perfect marble racer? This is a challenge that's being sponsored by the studio. Make sure you check it out on your Professor Beard's stream. He has more details as to when and how the prizes are given out, but that's the main criteria. 200 races, you have to cycle, no DNFs, can't miss a single race. Starts every Monday at 10 a.m. I think the prize continues and carries over each week, from what I believe, until somebody completes it, and then it starts over the following week, if I'm not mistaken. But you have to check out what rules that he has on that, or what it is that he worked out with Pixel. It wasn't one today, so it'll be there tomorrow. Okay, so it carries over each day if no one wins it. I think it's like maybe one prize a week. I could be wrong. Like I said, make sure you check out Real Professor Beer. He probably can explain how it works better. And if you're a fan of Battle Royales, don't forget Warrior Wednesdays with Final Ross Battle. Every single Wednesday, we do Battle Royales at 3 p.m. on Ross's channel. Play for a chance to win Pixel by Pixel coins and Pixel by Pixel community coins. So, 3 p.m. Eastern, Wednesdays, Final Ross Battle. This is an event that's been happening for several seasons. So make sure you get in on the fun. Speaking of Z, it's Z and my teammate Jensen. Shout out to Jensen, top 3 streamer. Whoop whoop. Jensen and Z are going to do another Outcrank event, double or nothing this time. First one of them to complete 100 races wins. This will be on July 15th, which I believe is a Thursday. Yep, it's this Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern reset time. So make sure you're there to support both of them. Lovely ladies in the marbles community. And like I said, Jensen's my teammate. But it's all good fun. It's not, I think Z has to drink soda, like gross soda, if she loses. It's all good fun. Unicornament, hosted by Profanity. I love the Profanity unicorn. So angry, like. The Profanity Unicornament is back Saturday, July 17th at noon Eastern. They're going to use a new kind of point system using player cards. There'll be VIP cash giveaways. She's going to introduce a fun game that her and JoJo invented. So I'm excited to see what that is. So make sure you check that out. It's on Saturday, again, Saturday at noon, July 17th. Make sure you check it out. Oh, and of course, recently announced Morby Fest Season 24, hosted by a beautiful selection of Marble streamers. You could check it out individually. I guess I'll read out most of these. I'll read out all of these, but essentially for those of you who don't know what Marble Fest is, or Morby Fest this time around, it's a marathon of streams where each one is like its own little independent tournament, and you have a chance to win exclusive skins. The top 25 winners of every single stream get this special evolving Morby skin. It evolves up to 4 layers, as you can see. Yeah, the top 25 will get the skin, and top 3 get pixel by pixel coins for each stream. And so it's a marathon of streamers. One raids into the next one, It's a 2-day event. Starts off with Spoo at 9 a.m., followed by Skatebeard at 10, Final Ross Battle at noon, MZ at 2 p.m., Shibuya Gaming at 4 p.m., Bax at 6 p.m., Sportscast Squad at 8 p.m., Ender's World at 10 p.m., and then at midnight the following day, but it doesn't stop, it just raids into the next day, but by then it'll be Sunday the 1st, August 1st. H Goody will start at midnight. Z is going to be the 2 a.m. slot. Couch Rec will have the 4 a.m. slot. Sinister Plans will have the 6 a.m. slot. Submain FM, my man Submain, going to have the 8 a.m. slot. Geezer is going to take that 10 a.m. slot, and then Spoo will close out the season. By noon, the season will be over. Season 24 will be over, and then he's going to just be giving out prizes for the rest of the day on stream at noon. So make sure you check it out. It's a great way to show off all the wonderful streamers who have been working hard recently, and maybe meet some new streamers that you've never seen before. I got to participate in the last one. It's a great event. Yeah. So yeah, it starts on Saturday, July 31st, 9 a.m. with Spoo. Yusuf's Track Builder Melee, it was delayed a month because he wanted to give more time to people. So if you're a track builder and you're interested in doing Yusuf's Track Builder Melee, it will be happening at the end of season 24 this time. This is an old poster. I need to find if Yusuf has an updated one. Get to building. I need to get a new link also for him for the track builder signups. He might have an updated link as well. But these are the 3 things that you need. You need a cannonball, a bingo, the cannon, the bingo ball, and then also the industrial tube. Those are the 3 things that are required for your track build. And I think that's it. Those are the Marble events of the week. But yeah, make sure you check out, again, this guide on Steam. Like, I try to update it as much as I possibly can. All right? Yeah, that was great. Thanks, guys, for sticking around.